Everyone, today we're talking about church discipline. It's actually reported that there is sexual immorality among you in the sort that's not even found among Gentiles. For a man is living with his father's wife. And you're arrogant. Should you not have mourned rather, so that he who has done this would have been removed from among you? When you are assembled and my spirit is present with the power of our Lord Jesus, you are to hand this man over to Satan for the destruction of the flesh, so that the spirit might be saved in the day of the Lord. Your boasting is not a good thing. Do you not know that a little yeast leavens the whole dough? Clean out the old yeast, a new batch of dough. You may be a new batch, as you really are unleavened. For our Paschal Lamb, Christ, has been sacrificed. Therefore, let us celebrate the festival not with the old yeast, the yeast of malice and evil, but with the unleavened bread of sincerity and truth. So what's the point of discipline, just even in general? And sometimes it's done because of a sense that people just need to be punished because they did something wrong. They need to know. And maybe it's out of retaliation because you want to get back at somebody. Or maybe it's just because you're angry. Well, that's usually not the best way. And instead, the point of discipline at its best is to stop people from harming themselves and from harming others so that they can learn to do better. And so Paul is thinking about this because of a certain situation in this church where a man is sleeping with his stepmother. It probably is a little, doesn't sound great to us. It was a problem that people inside the church should have realized, and even people outside the church would know better, right? This is not something where the non-Christians would be so impressed by the inclusivity of the church, they'd be kind of disgusted. And so we see here something we'll see a lot in this letter, that Christian behavior and how it appears to outsiders actually is something that we should be concerned about. A lot of times it goes the other way, though. So why would they be proud about this? One theory is that this man is wealthy. Later, pretty quickly, he mentions greed. And so maybe that's why they're reluctant to say anything or shame him. It's a reminder that sexuality is not just anything goes. Even if the church has not always had a good track record of handling it. Paul also is thinking about there's a communal responsibility. In our time, in our place, the mindset very often is nobody can tell me what to do with my life, and that includes the church. And that's not the way that Paul thinks. That's not the way that this community is meant to function. That individualistic culture kind of becomes more of a problem now. And so throughout this, Paul is making points about why the community matters. And it's important to keep in mind the goal of the discipline here. It's so that this person may be saved. So what does this look like today? Partly this assumes that the person wants to be a part of the community, so that doing something that might remove him for temporarily would make him want to come back. But honestly, I don't know what you do with this today when people, if you kick them out of your church, well, they can just go find the next one down the road where people aren't going to know what they've done, or they're not going to mind what they're doing or think. But I think we still want to think about this question of how do we balance God's grace with the seriousness of sin? Like I said, especially when it is harmful. I think we have to recognize that every situation is unique. How we feel about what Paul says here, if you actually read the rest of the Corinthian letters, it seemed like this didn't actually go very well. It's often something that requires face-to-face, not from a distance. It requires humility and recognizing that every situation is going to be different. There's more going on than what we know. We do want to take it seriously when harm is being done. We want to handle it in the way of Jesus.